Alrighty, it says I'm live, setting up a whole new setup today, so bear with me, give me a little bit of of leeway while I test things out, but things are looking pretty good. Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. Welcome to Moonshire Monday. Things are a little bit different this time around. I have the chat shown on screen, which is a little bit unusual. But I decided that I think that it would be a lot more fun to be able to see people's messages on screen so people can see what I see and when I see it too. But I'm seeing a lot of people in chat already. Thank you all for being here. I'm seeing Soda, Blank, Blocks, Tez, Sunder. Thank you Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the support. Sure, yeah. So today I am just doing what I normally do, which is just playing the game, but yeah, like I said, I'm trying out a little bit of some new stuff today because I noticed in the previous streams, like, a lot of the time my camera would just cover up too much code. It would cover up stuff, and it was annoying me so much, so I felt like I needed to change it. So now the gameplay is actually over here on the side, and I can, like, alternate between that and the code, like, on the fly really fast. I can make this bigger. And then also, the last thing you'll notice is that with the music, it's playing MP3s from my music playlist. And when the song changes, it's going to post a little message in the chat to kind of let you know what song it is. So since I think that's a common topic that we all chat about once in a while, is the music that's playing. So when's the next video coming out? I said next week. Yeah, I know. I'm kind of unreliable with that, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for delaying that. The truth is, I recorded a whole video, and I had to record it twice because I just am not good at filming like video yet, and I'm so burnt out with editing. I'm gonna be able to get it out this week because all the recording's done. I just need to edit the video together, so you can expect it this week. I know that I've been saying that for a while, but I really want to get it out soon. I know it's been a long delay since the last video, last devlog. Wolf, hi, welcome. And Toby, Torated, we got Tejas Retro. Thank you so much for being here. As far as what it's me on screen, yeah. I think that having chat on screen is kind of nice. By the way, for anyone who's out there, can you let me know what the latency is? Like, how many seconds does it take from when you post your message to when you see it show up on screen? Because I'm hoping it's about 5 seconds. I bet with YouTube it's closer to like 10 seconds, which still isn't too bad, but I like it to be at 2 seconds, really. I hope it can be as low as humanly possible. I have it set to ultra low latency. Wolf says 10 seconds. It's definitely going to vary from person to person. It's also going to vary from your actual physical location to me, I think. That people on the other side of the world, like in India, for example, I think is the opposite end of the world. I bet that the latency there is probably higher than it would be in like a North American country. And depends on your Wi-Fi, of course. Yeah, obviously, for sure. But that's good. I'm glad that the latency isn't that bad, because I feel like with previous streams on YouTube, the latency was pretty long on YouTube. But I switched around some settings, and I made things a lot better with that. And 10 seconds for England, yeah, that sounds about right. and to account for that, actually, with the music bot that tells you what song is playing, I have it set to it like waits for, I think, 8 seconds before it actually posts the name of the song. Can I ask about the tools used for pixel art of this game? Yeah, totally. So let me pull up some good pixel art to demonstrate this with. So the tools I use for pixel art, it's just Sprite. So it's just a pixel art program for drawing pixel art like this, but it's really nice because it has frame by frame data, so you can do animations. Sorry, give me one moment. I need to pull up a good example. One moment. Okay, let's use... This is it's fine, but this demonstrates the layer aspect. So one nice thing about pixel art, or with Sprite, is that you can have different layers. So like I have the eyes layer, so I can disable all the eyes or the head or the body. And I have that set up that way so you can mix and match the colors between the different body parts. And that's one of the nice things about Sprite is the different layers, but that's pretty common across all art software, really. You're going to be hard-pressed to find software that doesn't have layers, but it also has the frame-by-frame animations, which is nice for animating stuff. What are we doing today? Quick intro? Yeah, I don't really have specific plans. All I'm doing is testing out the combat because I changed some small features. So first, let me get rid of the HUD because it's kind of an eyesore at the moment. There we go. Oh, and that's the other thing is that you can see the menu a lot better because my camera used to cover up the menu and you wouldn't be able to see what I was clicking on. So one thing that I did over the last week was I added dash attacks. So you have regular attacks, right, where you can just attack in a direction, but you can also roll. And if you time your roll and an attack at the same time, it does like a powerful dash attack. So this is the normal one, but this is the dash attack. And I think being able to mix that up into combat is going to be really fun. The other thing I did is that I made it so that you do have to time the dash correctly, but you also have to time the direction. So you can dash attack in the same direction that you're rolling. You can angle it a little bit, but if you angle it too much, then the dash attack doesn't work. So you have to like be consistent with your roll direction. I think it's pretty cool. I'm sorry I keep clearing my throat. My throat's a little bit stuffy. Let me drink some water. Well, yeah, you can't wait to wave dash into forward smash. Yeah, that's totally true. So Wolf, with the new controls, wave dashing is still in it. Should I spoil the surprise that I removed the pickup button again? And we're back to a 2-button system. But you'll be happy to know that I was very, very mindful about not, like, degrading the features. So wave dashing is still as good as it was before, but you also have the dash attacks. It's just like a unique setup to how you're able to do it now. Because the whole goal was I didn't want to have too many buttons for the player to keep track of. Didn't see that one coming, yeah. So Wolf, here's the compromise that I came up with. Is I've always been trying to find a way to reduce the total number of inputs that the player has to keep track of and that I need to teach the player through tutorials. And ideally, I wanted it to be so that you only had 2 buttons. You had the attack button and you had the dodge button. Those are the only 2 buttons that players need to worry about. But in the earlier versions, or in all previous versions of the game, there was also a pickup button because you needed to use a specific pickup button to pick up and drop items. And I felt like that was just not enough functionality for one whole button. Like, all you're using it for is picking up and dropping items. It's just, I felt like I could scope things down a little bit. So we're back to trying out the 2-button system, just attack and just dodge. But the way that weapons are like picked up and dropped, it's more like you're going to be interacting with them. And then the other thing is I finally added this system where you can change between any weapon you found at any sunflower. So I need to change the animation on this. I need to change the game saved, but I'm testing it out where every sunflower is just like a spot where you can change through any weapon that you've ever found, and that helps mitigate the issue with how weapons are, you know, they're meant to be disposable, where they have armor values or they can break and shatter and you can just like lose them permanently. But if you can just re-get it back at a sunflower, I think that kind of alleviates the stress with that. Have I found love? Well, I found love in the game engine love, but beyond that, no. I can guess people's races depending on their name, really, Retro. Well, I probably shouldn't be doing that in this chat. Can you add a fish enemy? I have frog enemies. That's close, then. I'd say that's kind of close. Quick question. The menu should be done using a library. Well, so if you're able to, yes. But my menus are actually all custom coded. So everything that you see here, all of this stuff is just, it's customly made by me. And I wouldn't say it's good code either, because It's all in this file called new UI, and this file it's gone through so many iterations, and I've redone it so many times, and it's so ugly. This file is huge, by the way. This file is 2,800 lines. That's longer than it was the last time I showed this file, because I show this file all the time, and now it's 2,800. I swear that it didn't used to be that big, but that's really, 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 really long, and it's just because I just UI is a pain in the butt to work with. It's a pain in the butt to implement. At least the way that I'm doing it, obviously, it's pretty challenging. But thankfully, since I did it all myself, I understand it really well. So any issues or bugs that come up with this stuff, I'm able to figure it out pretty nicely. I find creating UI transitions or animations kind of hard in Godot. So there's no built-in tweens or animations in Love. If you wanted to have animations, so like the animation of my pause menu opening and closing, that's done using a tweening library called Flux, and then I have it manually inserted into this. Actually, it's in a different file called Pause. So really, this new UI isn't even all of it. There's another file called Pause, and this one is 712 lines long. And then there's another file called Button, and this one is 540 lines long. So all of these files work together in tandem in the worst way possible to make the UI work, and it's painful. I forgot what I was answering. Oh yeah, animation. So I use this library called Flux. It says that there aren't any. Oh, it's in Pause. So the way that this works is it's just fluxing the pause's X position to the destination, which is just like in the middle of the screen, sort of. And it does it over the course of 0.4 seconds. So it starts this tween in order to move the pause menu from off screen, and it just changes the X position to move it to the left so it's visible. And similarly, if you're on this side of the screen, it actually comes from the other, or it comes from the other side if you're on the other side of the area. Please give assets of your game. It looks so good. Well, a lot of the assets are paid assets that come from asset packs, so I didn't make all of these. It comes from this side on this side. It's in this resolution, it's actually a little bit. Oh, the reason it's like that is because it needs to show the HUD. That's why there's a gap on this side. That makes sense. Do you have any good game ideas inspired by Stardew Valley? Well, I mean, this game has plenty of Stardew Valley influence because the art style is kind of similar, and it has like the dialogue. You can talk to characters, and there's small upgrades, and I'd say that the general style and gameplay is similar to Stardew Valley. It has the same top-down aesthetics. Thanks for answering. Yeah, sure. Excuse me. I'm sorry that I keep clearing my throat. Okay. So, we're testing out combat. I think I'm actually going to start a new file to test this out. Oh, I've also been working on the settings menu. So, I haven't shown this off at all yet, but you can, this stuff's the same. You can change your control scheme, but you can also edit all the keybinds, obviously. I have high-res icons for all this stuff now. That's really nice. And then I have the button layout. So the thing about controllers is there's a different button configuration layout depending on what controller it is. So if it's an Xbox controller, it looks like this, but it could be a PlayStation controller and it uses these icons, or it could be a Switch controller, which also uses ABXY, but they're in a different position. They're in a different location compared to Xbox and Steam. So now the game's able to recognize, or you're able to actually configure this and set it appropriately. Vibration is another cool one. So in the game, if you ever see like the screen shake like this, or if I, like, let's say I hit this guy, it makes the screen shake. Whenever the screen shakes, I made it so that it vibrates the controller now. If you have a controller signed in, of course, right? Alrighty. You mentioned only using two buttons. One does attack and the other does dodging. So, really, the two actions are, I call it attack and dodge. So there's dodging, which makes you roll, and then there's attacking, which makes you attack. But the attack button, excuse me, jeez, I'm sorry for stuttering. The attack button is also an interact button, so you use that same button to like talk to the person here. All I did was I clicked the attack button on him, but if you're just close enough to a person and there's an exclamation point, man, I'm sorry for stuttering. That's what causes it to do that. Please make a tutorial of the game. Yeah, I mean, on my channel, there's a Getting Started with Love 2D playlist. I think that's a really good starting point. Okay, oh yeah, I was going to talk more about this. Oh, assist mode. Assist mode is another thing I haven't talked about yet. So with... I made a video not too long ago talking about, I think I called it God mode or debug mode, where you could give yourself like infinite health and make your speed crazy and speed up the game speed. And I decided that that was a bit overkill because really the only thing that people need assistance on in this game is how much health you have. Oh, why isn't the text pixel? I decided that a cleaner high-res look is a little bit better. What's my favorite Pokemon game? Legends Arceus. Legends Arceus is my favorite Pokemon game. So what I was saying with assist mode is that the main assistance that I can provide for players, as in terms of like accessibility, is extra health. So this is just like a health handicap, and when you have assist mode turned on, like it just gives you extra health. So it says like health +2, and all that does is it increases your maximum health by 2. And then it says some achievements are not available while assist mode is active. So that's the penalty for using assist mode. But I can give myself even more health. I can say health +5. And now it says +5. And also, it's hard to see, but there's a little watermark in the corner too that clarifies that this is a +5 assist mode run of the game. You can make it invincible too. So I think that this setup is... it's flexible enough that anyone will be able to get through the game. But it's clear enough that you're not supposed to use it if you don't need it. I think that it's a nice balance because I really do want everyone to be able to get through the game. And like if I gave this game to someone who doesn't really play games very often, like if I gave it to my mom, she's not really a gamer. So if I gave it to my mom, she probably wouldn't be able to beat the game in its current default state. But if I gave her assist mode health +9, she could probably pull it off. And I think that's the goal here. I always watch you. Thank you. Appreciate you tuning in. Mobile version, it's something I'm considering. Oh yeah, so more things to talk about here. I added some extra features in this menu, so you can change, or you can add an in-game timer to appear, or you can turn that off. You can show the frames per second, which that's again over here in the corner, and I can turn that off. You can turn VSync on and off. Mouse size, I talked about that. Oh, FOV, so like you can change how zoomed in the camera is. You can make it really zoomed in like this, or I can zoom it all the way out and play the game like this. So whatever configuration works for your setup or your monitor, it's going to be really flexible for folks. Because before you weren't able to adjust this at all. Phoenix says, I normally can't join stream, but now I did. Awesome. The time is a little bit more convenient for some folks, I think. 11 a.m. CT. I watch all your YouTube videos on this channel. Awesome. I appreciate that. Some of the older ones I think are kind of cringy. But you can clearly see like my skill with making videos improve over time. Sorry, I need to put my phone on silent. Sorry about that. That was my phone that made that noise. How long do you think it will take to finish the game? I'm hoping I can have it done this year, but the immediate milestone is getting this new version of the demo available on Steam, and like I'm hoping for another month, but I've been saying that for 7 months now. Oh, sorry, Wolf, I missed your message. You said, by the way, about debug mode, what's the new command to activate it? It was Control-Alt-D. It was always Control-Alt-D, not Control-Alt-C. D for debug. Sad to see you're not on Twitch. Yeah, I decided to keep it on one platform at a time just because I want to be able to show the chat on screen. I think that makes it a lot more fun. And there's pros and cons to each platform because I like the culture on Twitch. I like the chat system and I like the emotes on Twitch better. But YouTube does have better VODs. It has better playback. The ads are way less intrusive on YouTube. And, like, I already have this YouTube channel with an audience. It makes sense to kind of just keep it here. I hope that makes sense. But I'm still going to use my Twitch channel because if I'm ever streaming games, I'll be doing it there as opposed to doing it on my YouTube channel. So when the Switch 2 comes out, you can guarantee I'll be streaming on Twitch because I'm going to be playing all those games right away. Now it's Control-Alt-Delete. No, it's Control-Alt-D for... So what we're talking about is there's a debug menu in the game, and I think it's available in the Steam demo too. If you press Control-Alt-D, it opens up this menu, and you can like warp around to different areas, or you can summon whatever weapon you want. Okay, there we go. It was Control-Alt-D. No, yeah, it was Control-Alt-D the whole time, I think. Oh yeah, I was talking about dash attack. So every weapon has its own dash attack. So like this one's a big stab. And picking up weapons a little bit awkward right now, but this one you do so a regular attack is a flame like attack, but if you do a dash attack, it's bigger and longer. It's subtle, but it's bigger and longer if you do a dash attack. So what were some of the other ones? This one's just a bigger slash. Boomerang. Oh, boomerang's fun. So the boomerang's a fun one because when you throw the boomerang, it goes that far, but if you dash attack, it goes farther. So it's like it's a little way to get some extra distance on your boomerang. I think it's gonna be really fun. Yeah, just having dash attacks is enough to really increase the level of complexity with the combat, because before there was only one real option. You just basically attacked stuff and that was it. But now you can attack stuff and then chain it into like for example, you can do a combo like this into a dash attack and then get some extra damage off. I think that there's going to be a lot more skill involved with the dash attacks available. Hopefully you guys can't hear the pounding. The downstairs neighbors are working on something. I can hear them hammering, so hopefully you guys can't hear the hammering. What did I add since last week? It was the dash attacks have been added. I added a bunch of stuff in the menus. Oh, I need to talk to Ellie about getting these portraits redone because I changed the size of the map icons. Volume's still the same. Here is... I'm going to be making a multiplayer menu. Multiplayer is not confirmed, but this is where it will go once I have it. Once I have it up and running. Oh, and then I have... you can see your save file progress here in the menu now. And it's like the same. So I think that's pretty neat too. Anyway, we're going to start a new game. I'm going to skip this too. What the heck? Why won't it skip? That's weird. Why can't I skip the cutscene? Oh well, I guess we're gonna watch the cutscene. That's strange. I showed in the last stream that you were able to skip cutscenes, but I wasn't able to do it that time. How did I make a mini-map in Love 2D? If it's a mini-map that physically shows everything, then you would just use another camera. But otherwise, you would have, like, an image of, like, a smaller map image and just scale it based on where in the map you are. Wish it was available on Android. Maybe at some point it will be. Progress is tied to the number. Actually, there's a lot of things that can determine what the progress is, and I can show it actually, because that happens in new UI. Progress. File. Give me one moment. I need to find where that is. We have, okay, here's where we print the total time. So where is the progress? Percent. Here it is, finally. Man, that is a pain in the butt to find. I really should put this somewhere other than the UI file. This is not a good spot for this code to be. But anyway, the percent of your save data, it looks at all of these categories of things to determine how much of a percent you're gonna get. So it looks at how many items you have, and for each item, it adds 1%. So in here, since I have one sword, one item, maybe it counts this one too, and this is gonna count as 2%. And then it's also counting how many dies you have. Each one of those counts as 1%. Jewelry is not in the game anymore. I can actually probably remove that. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this. We don't need this. And then my gems, because you can get gemstones. And then same with weapons. So the number of weapons you've collected, I'm gonna do divided by 2. That's a little bit too harsh to do. Divided by 4. Same with these. So for each enemy that you've discovered, it's going to give you 0.5%. For each weapon, it's going to give you 0.5%. Every chest you open gives you 0.5%. And every, like, fight encounter that you complete gives you 0.5%. So all it's doing is it's adding that up to give you some percentage. Now, the funny part is, this isn't actually a percentage at all. I'm just adding up a bunch of points and then putting a percentage sign after it. There's no percentage here. The reason there's no percentage is because I don't know what 100% of the game even is. I don't know what 100% is going to mean when the game's done, because I don't know how many items there are, I don't know how many colors there are, and I need to know that information before I can actually calculate an accurate percent. Sorry for stuttering again. An accurate percent. So I'm just doing this like little fake calculation, if that makes sense. How much code do I have? Lines? What's the longest? New UI, this file is the longest one. And this particular file, because I remember talking about this in another stream. This file is 2,800 lines long, which is very, very, very long. Have I done any Steam remote play together testing with your co-op stuff? Not exactly. So what I have done though is made it so that 2 Steam clients can connect to each other. And I don't think that this UI works right now, but I did have it set up where when you click this invite a friend button, it would load your whole friends list, and you'd be able to click on one of your friends. It would send them an invite, and I tested it with multiple accounts and multiple computers, and it works. Where the sending the friend invites and sending and joining a game, that part works. Where I can connect 2 clients together. The part that I need to do next, though, is make it so that when those clients are connected, they can like see each other in the game, and everything is in sync, so they can actually play the game together. So I got the networking side of stuff done, where they can be connected. Now I just need to get on the gameplay side of things working, where I can like use that network connection to make the clients play together. Make a Unity game development tutorial. I wouldn't be very good at that. So there's lots of Unity tutorials online. But if it is adding, what if it breaches 100%? That's the point, is that this isn't a true percentage, because I don't know I don't know how many items are going to be in the game. Once I know the exact number of total items, then I'll be able to accurately calculate a true percentage that doesn't go past 100%. But you're right. At this current rate, I could give myself like 150 items, and then I'd have 150 percentage points, and that doesn't make sense. But the problem is I don't know how many items are going to be in the game yet, so I haven't bothered working on an actual percentage calculation quite yet. So from here, we're gonna go... Because the name of the stream is Testing Combat. Let's go ahead and test some combat. Is it better making multiplayer early or late in development? I don't know. I would say late, just because multiplayer is so challenging that I think that you'll want to save that for last, otherwise you might overwhelm yourself with too much stuff at first. And also, a multiplayer game is only fun if a single player aspect of it is also fun. So if you're making a multiplayer game, I do think that you should start with one player at a time. Make sure that the single player experience is fun. And by single player experience, I don't mean like it has to be a single player game. I mean that like even in like Overwatch or Marvel Rivals, it's still fun to run and jump around in those games. Like the movement and the way the game feels is fun. The fact that it's multiplayer is just added on top of that, right? So that's kind of my advice in that way. Hey, Heart Gold Soul Silver, yeah, I love the soundtrack from these games. This section I think I'm going to change. I think I'm going to change it so there's a path that goes underground here, and you talk to this girl underground, and she's the one that gives you the torch. But I don't know, I change so much stuff all the time. Nothing ever stays the same. They really went hard on DS game soundtracks. Yeah, I agree. Can you set her on fire? Yeah, actually, you can set people on fire. You can't see his flame. Oh, you can't see his flame because he's not actually an enemy. That's weird. You can kind of see he's on fire because he has a light source. Yeah, it kind of works, but it's weird looking. Have to go, sadly, Streamless highlight of my day. Oh, appreciate that. Thanks for stopping in, Blocks. So now that I have the torch, I can walk over here and we'll do this fight. Why did you couple fire enemy to the, or why did you couple fire animation to enemy? I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean when you set an enemy on fire? Well, what I mean is that the fire animation is its own class, but I haven't added any connection between that class and the NPC class yet. But for some reason, they are able to catch on fire. Because like you see when I catch an enemy on fire, you can see the little flame on him. For some reason, you weren't able to see that flame on the NPC. That looked weird. That was buggy. Do I know about multi-theft auto? No, I don't think I do. Commit arson? Yeah, exactly. Commit arson, yeah. Can break all those boxes and set this man on fire. I don't need that. I need to figure out where I want to put all of the dyes. Also, I should probably make less debris. Frog enemy is really good and fun. Thank you. I think so too. It's a really big improvement over some of the previous enemies. It's 12 a.m. for me right now. Yeah, that must mean you're in like in India or around that area. Just because I was looking up last night what the time zone is across the world, and I think India is the exact opposite of where I'm at right now. Is MTA still a thing? I thought it died. MTA. Oh, yeah, that's what the other person was talking about. No, actually, I'm not familiar with that. I need to figure out what I should do about... Oh, look at this bug. The flame's gone, but I can still shoot flames. That's buggy. Will there be magic? There's going to be my own brand of magic. It's not quite the same. I think it's going to be whenever you shatter your weapon, there's shatter skills that are like explosive and big. And that's what I think I'm going to be doing. Own brand. Can I play a red mage? I mean, yeah, like that's what I mean is that all the weapons in this game are like physical swords or spears or stuff like that. But the magic is just that when you destroy your weapon to heal, it's going to do some magical effects like big explosions or fire or something like that. I changed the controls and dropping weapons is a little bit buggy, so I'm going to go get the axe. There's an axe if you sneak over this way. The swimming animation is adorable. Yeah, thank you. And you can't stay in the water for too long, otherwise you drown. You love when items are used rather than abstract skills. Yeah, me too. And that's kind of what I mean is that that's why I like the idea of casting magic by sacrificing your weapon, because it's a tangible cost that you can see on your character. Ah. How did I make the lightning? Let's see, which lightning is in the game right now? Probably like... Are you talking about the lightning enemy? Because some of the lightning effects were made by Tony, actually. The straight line beam of lightning that the sentries use, that was made by Tony. And then if there's any other effects with lightning, they were probably from an asset pack. I think I'm losing frames. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. In FF1, though, they have a bunch of consumables that cast spells, and it's super fun. Oh, yeah, they do. I forgot about that. You know, in FF1, there's equipment that casts spells, too. Because I remember watching someone do an all-white mage run, which is funny because white mages don't really cast offensive spells, but there was some equipment that casted, like, Blizzaga or something like that, and they just used that on the final boss. It was really cool. Oh, lighting. Lighting, my bad. Well, you said lightning. So lighting, I spent a lot of time on that because it's gone through phases too, where some of the earlier versions were stylized. Actually, the Steam version that's on Steam right now, it's a very stylized version of, like, it's like Wind Waker lighting. But I've changed it so it's a bit softer on the edges. I'll see if I can find an example of it soon. I need to change how those... Yeah, I need to change how these look. Actually, Ellie made some new sprites for this. I need to import them soon. Giant's Glove plus Black Mage defeating Chaos with attempts. I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, Black Mage, Black Belt. Yeah, exactly. Because it was a White Mage run that I was talking about. Oh! I nerfed the boomerang so it doesn't go as far. And now my puzzles are messed up. How much total money have I spent on the game in assets? I did some mental math on this the other day, and I've probably commissioned $2,000 worth, and no, probably more than that. I'll say I've commissioned $3,000 worth, and paid asset packs probably $1,000 worth. The Safe Flower reminds you of Flowery. Yeah, it kind of does. Which IDE do I use? So the IDE is Visual Studio Code, but the game engine is Love 2D. Man, Wolf, you are so right. Like, the boomerang is OP. I think the reason why the boomerang is it's particularly OP on these guys because they don't have any projectiles. I think that once I make enemies with projectiles, the boomerang will be not quite as good because it doesn't have any armor. If I kickstarted, I'd reach 5,000. Yeah, the thing is, I don't need any more money to finish this. I have enough money on my own to pay for it myself, and I'd rather pay for it myself than rely on crowdfunding. Am I using Animate? I am using Animate. I am using that exact one. The buoyant breaches. So now that I got the buoyant breaches, I need to change how like this little room looks, because I've been changing my plans on this little jail cell multiple times. I don't think it's even going to be a jail cell anymore. But now that I have the buoyant breaches, I can swim. What made me choose Love 2D to create video games? It's just that I tried out all of them, because all the game engines are free, so you can just download any of them for free and try it. And I tried it, and I liked it a lot. I'm using an app called Love 2D to make this game, and it's not well known. It's not widely used. The game Balatro was made with it, but that's a recent game, and there's not many other good examples besides that. But I love it. I really love using it. But the thing is, I don't think it's objectively better than other game engines. I think it's just a matter of it just happened to have it really clicked with me, is what I was trying to say. Is it going to be on the App Store? At the moment, no. It's just going to be on Steam. But if I am able to get it on mobile, then yes, it would be on the App Store. And coincidentally, you're on Balatro right now? Nice. I love Balatro. I managed to finally get it clear on it. What is next? Actually, that's the main content of the demo right now, because I have the boss removed at the moment. I need to put the boss back because it was buggy. I really like Love 2D. I just don't like the language that much. That's fair. Yeah, I can understand that, because it's a little more. It's how do I say it? It's, well, first of all, the indexing starts at 1, and that rubs people the wrong way. But also, it's not object oriented, and that could rub people the wrong way. And the word choices, like saying then and else and end, I think that's a little bit off-putting to some people when normally you use like curly braces. So there are some quirks to it for sure. Trying to be gold stake on checkered deck. Nice, cool. I haven't dug into some of the specific ones like that. I was just playing the regular mode actually. I really should give it another shot. To be honest, the main thing I want to get out of making games is the graphics programming skills and knowledge, so I'll probably make my own framework using modern GL. Well, yeah, exactly. That depends on what you're trying to get out of it. If learning graphics programming is your main goal, then that sounds like a great plan. If your goal is to make a game, then that isn't an efficient way to do it, because there are like graphics engines out there that already do that stuff, like Love 2D, for example. But that's the thing, is that you could also say Love 2D is lacking features that Godot has. So maybe I'm the fool for using Love 2D when I should be using Godot. Wait, why did it chat twice? Oh well. How did I get funding to make this? It's all my personal money. It's all just, when I was working as a software developer, I lived very well below my means, and I was an avid saver, and I really, really, really worked hard to save back my money and work on investing. Oh, it's twice only for me. Good. What about Unity? Oh yeah, Unity's great. Unity has more features than Love 2D does. But that's the thing, is that I think some people will find that sometimes more features doesn't mean better. Sometimes more features means it's more bogged down and the program is slower to use on your computer. Because that's the other thing. If you want to use Unity, ideally you would have a decent computer that can run it well. If you have a low-end machine, it's probably going to stutter pretty hard on Unity. I guess I don't know that for sure, but I get that impression. It'd probably stutter more than Love 2D does, considering that there isn't even an editor for Love 2D. Have I tried Game Maker? Yeah, I use Game Maker a ton. In fact, Game Maker was my first. Game Maker was my first engine that I worked with because I got it when I was a kid. I was reading Nintendo Power magazine, and there was an ad for this book called The Game Maker's Apprentice, and my dad bought it for me, and it had a disc on it that had Game Maker 7 on it, and I made so many games with Game Maker 7, and that was my introduction to it. That was my introduction to pixel art as well, was working on that stuff. I really, really love Game Maker. I think it's awesome. When it comes to game dev, what do you actually need to pay for? I pay... I'm sorry if I keep clearing my throat. I pay for assets, so that includes things like sound effects or sprites. I pay artists to make custom sprites, and I pay for asset packs that contain a bunch of stuff that I can use for my game. I buy software, so like my music software, since I make my own music, I bought like FL Studio. That's kind of expensive, but I could have bought Reaper, and that's free, so that's also optional. Then there's some licenses, like if you're doing mobile, I think that you need like the Mac one. And other than that, there's not too much because all of the engines are free. You can just download them and use them for free. Up until a certain revenue gain, which that's the thing, is that the vast majority of games that release with like Unreal Engine, for example, they don't make money. So it doesn't cost you anything to use Unreal Engine. And same with, I think Unity does cost money now. And maybe Unreal does as well. I guess I don't really know exactly how much the cost is, but it certainly varies from engine to engine. You started learning Java. What do you think is the best engine to make games? I think they all can make great games because if you look through a list of like indie games, they're made with a variety of languages and a variety of engines. You'll see C# on there, you'll see Java on there, and now you're starting to see Lua and Love2D on there too with like Balatro in my game. So there's no right answer. People will tell you that Godot and GDScript is the best, or maybe they'll say C# and Unity is the best, but they all can do the same thing basically. They all can make games, so it's really more important for you to choose one that you enjoy using the most, because even if Unreal Engine is objectively slightly better than Love2D, if I don't enjoy using Unreal Engine, then I'm not going to be able to finish a game with it because I'm not going to enjoy my time with it. So that's the whole goal here, is to make it enjoyable. Otherwise, you're just going to quit, and I don't want people quitting. Endgame stuff like a boss rush or a really hard arena. That's a cool idea. I love that idea. And yeah, having extra content and stuff to do at the end of the game is a great thing to do, because stuff like that, it's really easy for me to add. My bosses are so flexible that I can just like drop them into any map. So there could be an easy boss rush thing that I could put in. That'd be cool. I was thinking of trying C# with Godot. Does Godot support C# now? Godot C#. Oh, it looks like it does. Okay, so yeah, you do need to compile it with .NET, but it does support C#. That's actually cool. It always did. I didn't realize that. I thought that you had to use GDScript. I didn't realize that it always supported it. Love2D somewhat supports C# as well. I mean, if it does, it's probably a little bit hacky. I haven't seen that. Here, I'll look that up as well. Love2D C#. That sounds crazy. A C# wrapper. Well, this is old, but I can still use it as a reference. C# wrapper for love. Do you have examples? Oh, wow. This hurts my brain. Personally, I wouldn't use this. That's just me. Personally, I wouldn't like that. My Twitch is off? Yeah, I'm using only YouTube at the moment. Why does it take so long to make a game? Yeah, tell me about it. Man, I've been working on this game for so long. Love itself is C++. Yeah, but C++ isn't... C++ is not anything related to C#. It's very different. Young indie game developer here, just discovered your game and it looks more fun than most AAA games. Awesome, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I think so as well. but I think so. I think so. I hope so. I hope that I can make this game as good as possible, and people enjoy it. I think that it's going to be a good time, because you're right that AAA games are making some mistakes in terms of how it's treating the player base, or I feel like there's a lot of wasted time, or it's not respecting people's time quite as much, and I try to make sure that this game has hardly any downtime. It's all good stuff. What game dev engine is this? Love 2D. Why I want to try with C# because I learned the basics, so why not keep it? Well, sure, yeah, I'm with you. But the thing is, once you learn one language, learning another language is very easy. Once you know C#, you basically already know Java, and you know Java is only a step away from C++. And once you know C++, that's more difficult of a language than Python. Python's easier than all of the above. So learning Python should be very easy. And Lua and Python are very similar. They basically are the same, if you ask me. They're super similar. So I don't think that you need to be too worried about like using multiple languages, because like for me, for example, the language I'm using I don't really even think about it. When I was working as a software developer, I would just open up files, and the fact that it was a C# file or a TypeScript file or an HTML file, it's like, sure, those things matter and I can see that on screen, but at the end of the day, like, it's all just logic. It's all accomplishing the same thing. It's just the syntax is a little bit different between them. Would I collaborate with other developers? Maybe. I would like do some podcasts, or I would do little things. The thing is, I wouldn't do anything that's too big of a time commitment. Like for example, I was invited onto Blackthorn Prod's channel because he does those videos, which are, it's like 5 developers work together without meeting or without talking to each other. So he invited me to be on one of those videos, but I had to say no just because the time commitment would have been a little bit too much for me. How many areas in Moonshires do I want to have? Well, so it's not that the areas are big and there's a large number of them. It's just that they are dense and interconnect well. I don't know the exact number, but what I'm going for is in this map. It's really rough right now, but the idea is that the map is going to be a grid. And like you can see, I'm on this cell right now. But if I go over this way and go over to this cell, now I'm on this one. So you can navigate the world using this grid setup, and that's kind of how you get around. But at the moment, you can see that there's just this one grid, but you can also go underground, and then there's an underground set of rooms too. That's kind of the vibe I'm going for. And Kyriakos, hi, welcome in. Stardew Valley is one of those games that got me here, to be honest. I love Stardew Valley. I really, really love that game. I have some Stardew Valley music in my playlist, actually. What does it feel like to have 92 people listening to my voice? I didn't actually know that there was 92 people watching. Is there? Yeah, it says 103 on my screen. That's cool. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening to me. I really am just talking and playing a video game, so that's nice of you guys to indulge me and not be too bored with me. I think I say some cool stuff once in a while. What do I think of Octane 100? I'm not familiar with that. What is Octane 100? Do you have a plan for a narrative for Moonshire? Yeah, I do have a plan for the narrative of Moonshire. The thing is, the plan keeps changing because this is my hot take with any sort of game developer and narratives, is that I really do think the narrative comes second. That you design the game first, and then write a story that fits that game's design. And I'm definitely certain of that because the story I wrote like 6 months ago or a year ago is so much different than it is now. Not because I think the story needed to change, but because the game world is different than what I set out for it to be. Like, I made it a lot smaller. I changed the number of characters. I changed what features are even there. And the order that you find things. There's just so much stuff that goes into that. And the story needs to fit the game. The game does not need to fit the story. That's my hot take on that. Is that the game is there... Sorry, the story is there to serve the game. the game is not there to serve the story. But that's going to vary from game to game, because there are some story-based games where it's not really about the gameplay, it's about the story. And there are games where both aspects are equally important and it turns out amazing. But I personally feel like more often than not, the gameplay is more important than the narrative. Fire Emblem is all about the fight sequences, the story complements them. Exactly. That's exactly right. Because you have the cutscenes and the character interactions before the fight, and that sets the context for what the fight is about and what the stakes are and why you're actually doing it. And then after the fight, you have another little cutscene and character interactions that talk about what happened and what's coming up next. It's perfect. It's the perfect way to tell a story. I just installed Linux, now I can say I use Arch. Nice. Whoops. Ah! Even if you keep swimming in the water, will the player drown? Well, so during this playthrough, I found an item that lets you swim forever. But normally you do drown. Like at the start of the game, if you go into the water, you'll drown if you stay in for too long. Do I care much about code optimization? Yes, I do. I am very mindful of that. You only care about code optimization if you need to? Well, that's true, and you shouldn't care about it too much when you're starting out, because getting something functional is more important than getting it to be performant. But for me, I've been working on this game for 5 years, or, you know, on and off for 5 years, and performance is something that comes up once in a while, and when you're planning out things for the long term, if you're able to plan ahead to keep things performant and organized, then it's best to do it early. But it's not something that you should like fixate on, and if development is slowing down because you're spending too much time planning ahead for that stuff, it's not worth it. What are your thoughts on premature optimization is the root of all evil? I mean, I personally haven't ever heard that before, or I don't even think that really, because it could be the opposite too, where post-mature optimization is the root of all evil. Because imagine if you're working for a company and you have a product that works great with your 100 customers, but as soon as the product pops off and now you have 10,000 customers, the product is not performant enough to handle that much load. And in that case, it's like the root of all evil in that scenario is that you weren't cautious enough with performance from the start. So it goes both ways. But also, if you were spending so much time working on performance that you took way too long to make the product in the first place, then yeah, I'm totally with you. You shouldn't be spending so much time working on performance that development is like slowed down significantly. That just doesn't make it worth it. Adele, hi, welcome in. Bummed you tuned in late? No worries, I'm gonna be going for another hour. I think. What time is it? It's 12. Yeah, another hour. How many wish lists on Moonshire do I have? I haven't revealed that information, not the exact number. All I'll say is that, and also I don't even know what it is. I know vaguely what it is. All I'll say is that, at the end of 2023, it had 10K, and that was the end of 2023. I don't know how much it had by the end of 2024. Premature optimization is the root of all evil because it can make your game release a bit too late. Yeah, that's kind of what I mean, is that it can be a problem if it's causing you to slow down too much. But it's a big problem if your code is built from the ground up in an unoptimal way, and then you have a product that is not performant and it can't handle the load of the many customers that you have. 10,000 is crazy good. Yeah, I think so too. But it's actually a little bit more than that too, which is even better. To be honest, premature optimization is probably why Silksong hasn't released yet. So yeah, we can flame people for doing premature optimization and spending too much time on that stuff. But also, it's It's also really easy to point and laugh at the companies that never got around to optimization. Like playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. How embarrassing that was. Or I'm sure there's plenty of other examples of unoptimized games. The thing is, AAA games, I don't really play AAA games anymore just because I haven't been very impressed by them. I only play AAA games when the reviews are really, really good, or if it's a Pokemon game. And so the last Pokemon game I played was Scarlet and Violet, and that optimization, it was the worst performance I've ever seen on any Nintendo game ever. And that's saying something. I've played so many Nintendo games, and that's the worst performance I've ever seen. Have I played Black Myth Wukong? I have not yet, and I want to. The reason why I haven't played it is because I don't have a physical copy, and I really wanted to put it on my shelf back there. I'm like, I don't want to buy this game if I can't put it on my shelf. That's a dumb reason not to play it. I really should play it because I think that I'd like it. I like the Souls games, and I think that I could get some ideas for my own game from it. What kind of architecture do I use for my game? ECS? No, it's not necessarily that. It's just that. So you could call it ECS, right? Because entity component system just means that everything has its own state, and based on that state, things do different things. So in my game, I have game start. I have a value called game state, and you can see like 0 represents the main menu, and then there's some different states for that. When game state is equal to 1, that means we're in the regular gameplay state. There's a game over state, and then based on game state, so I bet like there's several places in the code where I say if game state is equal to, and there's like if game state is equal to 1 or is equal to 3.1, looks like. This is respawning from game over, so this is like a specific case where it checks the game state and it does stuff based on that. I'd say that this is a pretty common method, and this I wouldn't say that this is entity component system. Obviously, this is like mimicking it basically. Crazy how Astro Block beat it for Game of the Year. Oh, Astrobot, yeah. Astrobot was so good though. Me and my friend played it and we loved it. I love that game. Are you aware of Chris Zukowski at all? I feel like his content on game marketing for indies is crazy good. That name sounds familiar. Let me look that up real quick. Oh yeah, how to market. Yeah, I've seen his videos. I've seen his videos before. Yeah, his channel's good. I like his channel because it's very literally named. It's named How to Market a Game. It's like that's as descriptive of a name as you could possibly have, and I appreciate that. Am I excited for Pokemon Legends ZA? Yes, very. Legends Arceus was my favorite game in the series, so I'm very excited for the new Legends game. Could you give your opinion on what I said, like if I should stay with something that clicked with me or just follow the job opportunities? Sorry, let me find your other message. Yeah. Whoops. Sorry, Arian, if you want to repeat your question, I can answer it. But you said if I should stay with something that clicked with me or just follow the job opportunities. Well, it depends on what your goals are, because my goal was never to be employed by a game company. Like if your goal is to go work for EA or Riot Games or something like that, then sure, you can research exactly what tech they use and practice with it and use that to help with your applications. That sounds fine. But I was talking before how all game engines and all languages, they're all very similar. Once you know C#, you already basically know Java. It's a great way for you to sorry, let me make sure I'm not missing any important messages. Sorry about that. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. My chat display got confusing for a moment. I'm sorry about that. I clicked on someone and it got confused. Sorry about that. Man, I lost my train of thought really bad there. Sorry about that. Oh, Godot versus Unity. So once you know one language, it's not hard to pick up another language. It's the same with like real world languages. Once you know Spanish, you can pick up Italian pretty easily. And with employment, when you're being employed by different game companies, sure, they want you to be experienced with their code or with their like language, but that doesn't matter quite as much as you being experienced with game development, because every company knows that they're still going to have to train you on how to use all of their systems and all their code and stuff. No one's going to walk into that company already knowing exactly how everything works. So it's better to go for what you're interested in and just building up your skills as a game developer, just so you can improve on all of that stuff. And also, I don't know, I wish I had better advice for people that are just seeking employment opportunities in the field of game development, because that's not something I have any experience with. When I was working, I was a full-time software developer at Microsoft. I wasn't working in the game section of Microsoft. It was like the cloud computing section of Microsoft. And my advice to anyone who's interested in building up a career, which should be most people, is don't pigeonhole yourself into game development. Don't get stuck into that one specific category. If you want to get a job in game development, build up some skills that are relevant. So build up some coding skills if you want to be a coder, or if you're an artist, be like a graphic designer, or if you're a writer, do a bunch of technical writing or narrative writing or creative writing, or music. If you're a musician, put together a big like demo reel, or put together a Twitter account that has all of your stuff on it. All of those steps are going to be a lot more helpful, I think, than just saying that you have experience with whatever framework it is the company uses. What is LCL? It is localization. If you're talking about my LCL files, I use something like this. So the reason why I have it set up this way is, like, it says red, and it has these things. All these strings are placed into different tables, is what I'm saying. The reason it's set up that way is because all of these strings need to be able to be translated. Because, like, this string here, permanent personal light source, that string needs to be able to change to, like, French, for example, if we're using the French file. So this is like the French dialogue. So if you talk to the soldier leader and you're in the French language, it's going to grab this string. But if you're on the English language and you talk to that same character, it's going to grab this string. You know, if I found it wherever that character was. It just grabs it looks at the appropriate file and grabs the string from it to get the correct translation. Have I ever been in a slump with regard to Moonshire or game dev in general? Yeah, when I was trying to figure out what my next game was going to be, it was really tough for me because, like, when I started the Recreating Zelda series on YouTube, at that point, I would say I was pretty burnt out and confused on what I wanted to do, because I had been making, like, fan games and small projects my whole life, and I really wanted to do something bigger and better, but I just didn't know what direction to take things. And that's why I was making the Recreating Zelda videos, because it's like, well, I've always wanted to make a Zelda game. I might as well make videos about making a Zelda game, because then at least I'm building up my video creating skills while also building up my game dev skills. So it's a nice balance there, I guess. What's your favorite Pokemon? Love the demo, by the way. What's my favorite Pokemon? I actually have a canon team. Let me pull that up. This is so nerdy. Okay, my canon Pokemon team is Greninja, Espeon, Ceruledge, Garchomp, Scizor, and Zapdos. That's like my mind canon. That's my head canon Pokemon team. We're gonna go back to playing my own game. We're done talking about childish things like Pokemon. What the heck? Oh. I'm just kidding. I don't think Pokemon's childish at all. I was actually sad because when I was growing up, I loved Pokemon when I was a kid. And then when, like, probably around Ruby and Sapphire or Emerald, it became uncool at my school to be a Pokemon fan. It's like if you played Pokemon, you were like a loser. And that's so dumb because we were all kids. I was like 12 years old at the time, and I was being told that I was too old for Pokemon. It's like I'm the target audience. How are you saying that? And yeah, here I am, and I'm almost 29, and I still like Pokemon. Your favorite is Heracross? That's a great choice. I love Heracross. Hey, do you restream on Twitch? I used to, but the reason why I don't multi-stream on Twitch anymore is because I wanted to show that you can't combine chats on stream, and it was becoming a problem. You know, I wanted to be able to show it all. So I'm doing just YouTube at the moment, but I'm still going to be using my Twitch channel for whenever I stream games. Like when the Switch 2 comes out, I'll definitely be streaming on Twitch there. I might even stream on Twitch before then too, if I ever am playing any games. Because if I'm playing games, I'd prefer to stream it, because I like chatting while I'm playing games. My fave is Frostmoth and Volcarona. I love Frostmoth. Actually, I love both of those. Those are good, like, buggy boys. I should find something else to work on. Actually, I think I'm just going to start a new file again and play through some of those fights again. I love this little icon here. I'm going to figure out why aren't I able to skip this cutscene? I showed in the last stream that I was able to skip this cutscene, and it's not working now for some reason. Did I ever play Cocoon? Oh, is that by the people that made Limbo and Inside? I haven't played that yet, no. I heard it was awesome, though. I saw the concept, and it seems awesome. Pippa, hi, welcome in. Abdul, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. See you next Monday. What do you think about Ukrainian localization? I can translate it for Moonshire. It depends, just because what I'm planning to do for localization. This is how I plan to handle localization. And you might find this controversial, but this is what I think is going to be the most practical thing for me to do with localization. Is that once I have the localized files for English finalized and fully done, once I have every line of dialogue ready in English, I think I'm going to generate a bunch of localized files, generate them using AI for a first rough draft, and then pass off that rough draft AI to an actual human editor who speaks the language fluently and would go through this generated content and edit each line and verify that there's no mistakes. Because the thing is, I think an AI translator would be able to do 90% of these, because something like this, yes, I'm new, is a one-to-one translation that shouldn't be challenging for any software to translate it. But something more complicated, like this, it has like some slang in it. It has the word bunyip. That's a made-up word. It has some like vernacular to it that you can't one-to-one translate with an AI. So you do need human involvement to properly translate files. I don't think that AI will reach the point where it becomes so good that it catches all cases like that. So I think that utilizing both of them in tandem is going to be good for me, because it makes it affordable for me, because I can use AI to do most of the work, and then I can pay a human editor to finish up all of the mistakes, wrap up any weird issues, and just verify that everything sounds appropriate. No stream on Twitch? Yeah, not today. I'm not doing streaming on Twitch. While I'm doing the chat display on stream, because I have the chat displayed up here, I think that I'm going to keep it on YouTube only, because you can't combine chats, unfortunately. And I think it's nice being able to keep everyone in one place, too. Do you think if Moonshire would have been made with another framework game engine like Monodagame or Godot, the end result would be similar? I think it would be exactly the same. I do honestly believe it would be exactly the same. If I was using Godot, it's possible that I would be a little farther along, and it's possible that the shaders would be better, because shaders in Love2D are really hard to work with. But besides that, actually I shouldn't even say that it would be farther along. I don't really think it would be farther along, because the beauty of Love2D and having to manually code everything is that I understand everything so well that when bugs pop up, I'm able to fix the bugs really easily, because I basically know exactly where to look. And that part's really nice. With Godot, since it obfuscates some of the actions, it does a lot of the work for you. If there are bugs, it is harder to debug for that reason. But it also just handles for you that I think it still is a net positive in terms of efficiency. Have I played Pizza Tower? Yeah, I played Pizza Tower. I love that game. Yeah, Love2D offers a lot of help with making the game better, but it really is just fundamental actions like the rendering window or the mouse or some of the libraries it comes with. It's a lot of basic features just making the software work, but all the functionality in terms of gameplay, it really does come from me. Would you rate my indie game on Love2D? Well, it depends. Yeah, sure. How come Moonshire Monday streams are later lately? Yeah, they've been at 11 a.m. CT as opposed to 9 a.m. CT. And that's because it's more convenient for me. I think it's more convenient for a lot of people too. Because 9 a.m. CT was 7 a.m. On the West Coast US. So like California. It was just a little bit too easy for West Coast, or a little bit too early for West Coasters. So moving it back in the day was better for me and better for them. It seemed like a net positive. This time is better for you since you have class. Yeah, I think it's going to be better for a lot of people, but obviously it's not going to be better for everyone. There's going to be plenty of people where it's not better. Like I was talking about, I think people on the opposite end of the world, like if you're in India, it's going to be later now in the evening compared to what it was before. And that part is a bit of a bummer. Can you port over to the Nintendo Switch easily? I wouldn't say it's easy, no. The problem with console support is that you need a bunch of proprietary software APIs that are not public. You need to work directly with Nintendo. They need to hand off specific software and tools to allow you to develop for the console. And since that's not publicly available, you can't find much information about what that process is even like. And that makes it really difficult. So engines like Unity they have like a partnership that handles that part for you. So I suspect doing console support on Unity or Unreal Engine is quite a bit easier than console support on something like Love2D, where the console support is not native. If I want to support this game on console, I would need to get in touch with Nintendo, be a part of their developer program. They would hand over their APIs and whatever tech I need to call to get my game connected with it. And it would probably be a little bit challenging. It would be similar to porting to mobile, except with mobile, those APIs are publicly available. So since I've done mobile before and I know how to port things to mobile, I suspect I'll be able to port things over to console in a similar way. It's just going to be using a set of proprietary software tools that no one really knows about. Do I recommend Love2D for mobile games? Actually, I do. I think it works pretty well for mobile games because of how lightweight it is. I think it's nice. What will the price of this game be? About $10 is what I'm aiming for. $10 USD. Let's see. Did I do this fight? I can't remember if I'm like spaced out. I didn't do this fight. I've played Fantasy Life. No, I have not actually. Yeah, with sandbox games, I'm actually really picky on sandbox games because I wouldn't consider my game a sandbox game. It's more of like a streamlined adventure that's a little open. It's open in the order that you can do things, and it's open in the locations that you can go. But in general, it's a streamlined experience. I'm kind of picky with sandbox games just because I like a sense of direction and having goals. A sandbox game requires the player to create their own goals, which I see the appeal of doing that. That's why I like Minecraft gets really popular. But personally, that sort of gameplay never appealed to me personally. Do you recommend to start learning code for games? There's no good place to start. Just try it out. So if you've never coded before at all, I'd probably recommend something like GameMaker or Construct because those are visual scripting. It's like drag and drop coding. It's a lot more accessible and easy to learn compared to picking up coding like this, because this looks like a foreign language to a newcomer, while the drag and drop coding is a bit easier to digest. That's why I prefer modded. That sounds fun. I think I could get into something like that. I imagine that after you release the game, somebody will finish the game in 3 minutes blindfolded with no hit. I mean, you're definitely right. People will be able to do that. Was Minecraft destined for success? Well, it certainly was innovative, so yeah, I'd say so. Something in between a Metroidvania is really great balance between freedom and direction. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. And that's why I've always liked the Zelda games, because there is a set order that you do the dungeons typically, but the openness of what you do in between them and the freedom involved with it, it still feels very open. So you get that illusion of openness while still having a streamlined, like, linear sort of adventure. Check the Octane 100 game, please. I'm not familiar with that. Some good Undertale fan games are made with Godot or Unity. Really? Undertale fan games? What was Undertale Yellow made with? Because I haven't played that, but that's the biggest one that I've seen. I'm using RPG Maker for my first project based on a whim. Yeah, that sounds great. I think that's an awesome idea, because RPG Maker handles the engine side of things. It handles the mechanics. You're able to focus on the story, the characters, the balancing, the world design, and all of those things are still related to game development. It's just not coding intensive. That's the only difference. It's made with Game Maker. Okay, yeah, the original Undertale was also made with Game Maker. I just couldn't remember what Undertale Yellow was. I assumed it was also made with Game Maker. If you could be if you could only be one, what would you choose? YouTuber or game dev? Game dev for sure. At this point, I'm actually a little burnt out on making videos. I need to hire an editor to help me, because it's been like 3 months since my last full video on YouTube. I'm gonna be hiring a local editor soon, actually. Octane 100 also created using Love2D. Oh, cool, nice. Yeah, I'd love to see more Love2D games. This game is so simplistic in a positive way. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. It is simple in a positive way, because I took out a lot of the stuff that I think bogs down modern games. The full vids are my fave. Yeah, they're also my fave, but they are not my fave to create. They are so tedious for me to create, and it's just been too much for me lately. I needed a bit of a break, but streaming has been so much fun for me. And it's funny, because going into streaming, I didn't think I would like it very much, because I've always been a bit of a stutterer, and I still am. Obviously, I've been complaining about stuttering in this stream in particular a lot. I'm still working on that problem. But it's getting so much better, and I think that streaming is helping with that, because it's forcing me to deal with it. Because before, when I would stutter or when I would have a problem with any of that stuff, I would just not talk very much, or I would have my scripted YouTube videos, and those were so scripted, and I would just cut out all the bad takes. When I was making videos up until now, all of my videos were recorded very scripted, and it was so edited down. It makes me seem like I'm articulate, but really, I was stuttering so much, and it would take me multiple takes for every single sentence, and it was just edited so nicely. But streaming has helped me overcome that a lot, where I am not stuttering quite as much. I'm still stuttering a lot, but it's not nearly as bad as it has been, and I'm very happy about that. It's something I didn't think I was actually going to be able to get better at. I thought that I was doomed to forever stutter, but as it turns out, like most things, you just have to practice, and then you get better at it. So let's move on to this way. What's my favorite game in 2024? I'm gonna say Shadow of the Erdtree was my favorite game in 2024. And that's a DLC, obviously, but there wasn't too much stuff that came out last year that I was excited about, mainly because Nintendo wasn't very big last year. Echoes of Wisdom I liked a lot in the end, but I wouldn't say I liked it more than Shadow of the Erdtree. Every time I make a video, I fumble over my words so much that I record like 30 minutes. Yes, so exactly what you said. That's exactly what happens to me. So like, I'll have a script, and my video will be something like, "Hi, my name is Chalicade, and in this video I'm going to talk about whatever." And the problem is just that one line alone. It would be like, "Hi, my name is Chalicade, and I'm here to Hi, my name is Chalicade, and I'm here to Hi, my name is..." So I would just like repeat the same line over and over and over again until I would get a good take on that line. I would move on to the next line, and then again repeat the same line over and over and over again until I had one good take that I could use for the video. And it's so time consuming. But the thing is, it's less time consuming today than it was 1 year ago. 1 year ago, it was even more time consuming. So that makes me think that in 1 year from today, it's going to be even less time consuming because I'm getting better at it. And that makes me excited. That makes me really happy. Do you mind if someone uses the same combat that I use? Oh, sure, go for it. I wouldn't say that this combat's unique. Because I got the idea for this combat from, like, the Souls games. And I was playing Hades a lot. I was playing Cult of the Lamb. Cult of the Lamb really inspired the art style in terms of, like, the diagonal look. I love Cult of the Lamb. I want to replay it. Because they released a lot of new patches and a lot of new content that I haven't seen or tried out yet. And also, the game was pretty buggy when it came out. I played it on PS5, and it was really buggy. Yeah, I have a similar stutter problem, and I get nonverbal if I'm too stressed. But talking to neighbors has made it easier. Yeah, and that's the same thing with me, is that streaming has made it easier for me, too. Because it's the same with overcoming any problem. You just have to immerse yourself in it for a long time, and you get it over it. If you have a fear of public speaking, you just have to do public speaking all the time. And if you have a fear of, I don't know, whatever else, of dogs, you just have to go to the dog park more frequently and see that they won't really hurt you. Yet another based and Lua-pilled game dev. Thank you. Yes, I wish everyone would become Lua-pilled like me. That's the first time I've heard someone say Lua-pilled. That's actually hilarious. I'm gonna start saying that. Are YouTube and game dev your living? Sort of. So really, my living is I worked as a software developer for a long time, and during that time, I was very frugal. I saved all of my money. I lived well below my means, even though I was making a pretty good salary. And I saved up money. I learned how to invest well, and now I'm living off of those. I'm living off of those investments, basically. But also, I have a Udemy course, and that helps pay the bills. And YouTube is starting to produce more of an income, and that's helping to pay the bills too. But really, I'm not making any money off of game dev, and YouTube isn't paying that much either. Not enough to live on, that's for sure. I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't save up all that money from my career. Do I pretend to add support for mods? Well, I don't pretend to add support for mods. It's more like I'm planning ahead for adding support for mods. So there will be mod support, and I'm taking a lot of care in making sure that things will be moddable. So for example, if I look at something like Bunyip, the idea behind making things moddable is that this whole file represents a single enemy. And this isn't really code. These are just like values. It's like, how much health does the enemy have? Or what's the dimensions of this character and its hitbox size? How fast is it? These are things that are moddable values. This isn't really coding. This is just making things moddable. And the idea is that the Bunyip enemy is a generic enemy type, and this file just applies a bunch of different individual configurations that make it unique and gives it like the individual sprites too, the individual animations. Do you do everything alone, or do you have more devs working with you? So I do everything alone, but I do hire some pixel art. There's a little bit of pixel art hiring going on. But other than that, it's just me. Wolf helps a little bit with testing. I've paid her a little bit. And then there's an illustrator too. V has done the... Isn't this top down? What does the diagonal mean? Oh, sorry. Excuse me. A moment ago I said diagonal. And by that I meant how in pixel art games, typically the characters face in the 4 cardinal directions. So the player would face down, left, right, and up. But my character doesn't do that. My character faces down left, down right, and up left. So these are diagonally facing directions. And the reason I did that is so that when you attack, it can look good in any direction. And when I had sprites that use the primary cardinal directions for the, instead of diagonals, the infinite circle direction of attacks, it didn't look good in all directions. So that's why I talk about this diagonal setup, is that I think it looks better for like omnidirectional attacks. Most Undertale fan games use GameMaker, but some good ones use Unity or Godot. Interesting, yeah. Game Maker doesn't have great graphics. Yeah, I mean, if everything's just a 2D game, then Game Maker relies on just the sprites. What do you think about the idea of 7 deadly sins as bosses? That's a really cool idea. In fact, I almost think that's been done before. That's such a good idea that I would be shocked if no one's done that, if I'm being honest. That seems like something that like an old school JRPG would have done. But I do love that concept, and I think that would go great in a game. So much game dev is finding the right compromise that works best and looks best. Exactly, because you could say that my character could look better if he was higher res, had better human proportions. But I would argue that like a cute, small, short cartoon character like this that's more stylized works better as a game because it's more of like a circle shape. A circle shape works better than like a tall character where it like the hitboxes aren't as clear. Sometimes you have to make compromises that fit the gameplay in addition to the visuals, right? It's always a compromise in both aspects. You can put your own plot twist to the 7 Deadly Sins idea. Yeah, totally. There's plenty of ways to take that. What's the technical difference between those? Can you have the traditional direction versus diagonal look visually the exact same snapshot? From a technical perspective, there really isn't any difference because when I use WASD to walk, like that's still walking with the primary directions. It uses a diagonal direction to walk whenever I hold 2 buttons down at once. But in terms of the diagonal sprites, it's just a visual style. I wouldn't say from a coding perspective it ended up causing anything differently. Yeah, I can't really think of anything that this required anything special for. Binding of Isaac does it, but also Binding of Isaac has done everything at this point. That game is gigantic. I love that game. That game is... I need to use that game more as an example for scaled sprites or scaled pixels because that game has lots of pixels. It also has lots of rotated sprites. And recently I've been talking a lot in my streams and on shorts about how rotating sprites and scaling sprites is controversial. But I think that if I show all the examples from Binding of Isaac and how it's used in that game, I think more people will come around to it because everyone loves that game. And if that game's allowed to do it, well, my game should be allowed to do it too. You know where I can start learning DT for free? Yeah, on YouTube. There's plenty of YouTube tutorials that go through those, the start to finish process of making a small little game. But always when you're starting off, make sure that you keep it simple. A game like mine is too complex when you're starting off. I've been making games for years and years and years and years and years. And it took me a long time to get to this point, is what I'm saying. If done tastefully, rotating and resizing pixels can look great. I agree, because like for example, the snow that we see here, all of the snow here is rotated and scaled pixel sizes, and I think it looks awesome. Same with the grass. The grass is rotated and scaled pixel sizes too. The footsteps are rotated and scaled pixel sizes. And the thing is, like, I can see someone arguing, well, you shouldn't do it that way. You should do it with consistent pixels. And I would say ideally yes. But if I can't make it look good with consistent pixels, then I'm not going to spend any more time wasting like trying to make it look good when this looks fine. I try to make pixels consistent if I can, but if I can't make it look good with consistent pixels, then I do little cheats. I think that's fine. Howdy, hi woolly mammoth, welcome in. I'm honored to have a woolly mammoth in the stream. I've always wanted that to happen. Actually, you were here last week too. Let's see what's up next. PS1 games are often masterclass on sprite rotation. I love the PS1 aesthetic because it uses a 3D engine with 2D sprites. I love that aesthetic. I love the way you talk endlessly. Thank you. I do my best to keep a constant flow of stuff being said. But it's easier for me to do that thanks to all you guys chatting, because there's a lot of people talking in the chat, and that helps me out a lot with keeping the stream of consciousness going. I think the 80-20% rule can apply to pixel sizing rotation. Dude, it's so funny that you say that you're talking about the 80-20 rule, because the video that I recorded is talking about the 80-20 rule. I'm gonna be talking about the 80-20 rule in the next YouTube video this week. And I know I've said this week a few times now, but it's actually gonna come out this week because I already recorded it. Does this area have a cool ocean-themed boss? It does. It's a big crocodile, but I have him disabled at the moment because it is buggy. Is the visual representation for the diagonal pixels dependent on the individual sprite or the environment as well? Diagonal pixels. It's just the individual sprite because every draw of a sprite in Love 2D has an optional rotation parameter. So like the axe, for example, there are no other sprites on screen that I can see. There are no other sprites on screen that are rotated, but the axe sprite is rotated. You can tell that it's rotated to be on the player's shoulder like that. And it's just on a sprite by sprite basis because none of them needs to be rotated. And by the way, that sea mine needs to be fixed. It looks so bad. I built a PS1 software renderer in Love 2D a long while ago. Wow, that sounds awesome. That sounds really, really cool. And that concept applies to the diagonal movement too. Let's see. Yeah, I'd say so. So the diagonal movement is... The way diagonal movement works is when you hold right, you move right. When you hold left, you move left. Down goes down and up goes up. But naturally, when you have that system working, when you hold two directions at once, it causes you to move in both directions at once. So when you hold down and left, you're just moving down and left at the same time, which results in a diagonal direction. I have a very, very popular short about diagonal directions where it's called normalizing the vector, because if you move in two directions at once, that normally causes you to move at a faster speed. But as long as you normalize the speed that you're moving at with this diagonal movement, it keeps that consistent speed. What will the final boss be? I don't actually know yet. I have thoughts narratively of what I want it to be, but I won't know until I actually get there. Because I don't want to plan ahead for what the final boss will be until I know that it fits the story perfectly. Can you please add the edge of the corner with a different texture, maybe a longer brick stone? Because it will look great on that water before. Yeah, I'm with you. There's like, are you talking about this corner right here? Because it's really basic the way I have it set up right now. It's something I animated in like 10 minutes. Where do you store the progress of the players? That's a great idea, or great question. So, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so the game saves all of the data in these folders. And like if I go into file 1, there's a few different files in here. Each of these store different pieces of data about the save file. So for example, this is items. So if I open up this file, we can see every item that this file, that the player has collected on this file. So this is every weapon that the player has picked up so far. This is the number of resources. So like this is the gold, this is the seeds. These are all the key items the player has collected. These are all the dyes the player has collected. So it's literally a plain text readable version. And then when you load the game, it just loads this table into the game and uses this data one-to-one. Later on, because last week someone was talking about data validation. Later on, I'll want to actually manually go through, when loading, go through this weapons table, verify that the weapons in this table are legitimate, make sure that no one's putting any like bad code in there or trying to put any bugs or whatever. Because otherwise, I wouldn't want there to be a security risk because I'm running arbitrary code. There needs to be double checks to make sure the data is fine. But really, I think that if you put in bunk data or custom code in this, I'm pretty sure it would just crash based on the way that I'm loading it. I love how this game was supposed to be a Zelda remake, but now it's kind of its own thing. Yeah, I like that too. Because I really did start out going specifically for a Zelda fan game, but I'm happy that it's become its own thing. I just decided to start game developing this year. I'm very happy to find your channel. Awesome, yeah, I'm happy to help, and feel free to reach out with any questions. A stupid idea, an idea or an item that is like a shield that gives you a dash to damage the. Oh, that's cool. So it's like you're wielding this shield, and when you attack, it's like a shield bash forward. You do a dash forward and you ram into stuff. I actually think that's cool. I think that's a great idea. Because it's not too much different from the dash attacks I was talking about before, how you need to dash forward to do this big swing. So is the save data accessible to the players? What do you think about the player modified cheat save data? I've thought about that a lot, and yes, it is directly available to players. If anyone knows the file path to get to this file, to this folder, anyone can go into it and change this data. Like, you can go into this item file, and you can change like this gold value. You can change the count to, let's change it to 925, and let's save the game and restart it. If I reload that save file, I should have 925 gold. If I whoops, if I open up my, yep, there it is, 925 gold. All I did was change the save file. So the question is, should we allow that or should I not? And personally speaking, this is like a single player offline. It's not a serious, it's just like a fun game. I think it's okay to allow players to cheat if they want to. Like, it's the same thing as putting in cheat codes. It's just now the cheat code is you have to manually edit a text file and you can change any settings that you want. I think that's just fun. If people want to cheat, I think that's okay. Maybe I can add some kind of watermark in game that that pops up if it notices that you're using bunk data. I think that would be nice to prevent any sort of like competitive cheating, but since this isn't a competitive game, I don't think it's necessary to be too restrictive about that. Sakurai said the same thing. Sometimes players feel good when they cheat. Yeah, exactly. And it's not really cheating. It's also that some players get overwhelmed and they just want to get through the game, or they want to see the cool stuff, or maybe they already played the game before and they just want to rush through it so they can get to the final boss again. Like, I don't want to keep players from doing what they want. If they want to do weird stuff with the save files, I think that's fine. I think that's perfectly fine. Even if you obscure it, players can work around it. Exactly. Even if I found a way to like restrict it in a hard way, someone would find a way around it. There would be a mod. There would be some way to fix it. And like, really, I don't see what benefit that gives. The benefit is that people are less likely to cheat, and like all the gameplay that you see is more authentic, I guess. But it's just meant to be a fun retro game. The competitiveness can come from like speedrunning, and sure, that stuff should be monitored. But I don't really think that save file adjustments are going to cause too much of a problem. Your streams are actually the only streams I watch because you actually respond. Thank you. Well, yeah, I like to respond to questions. And I think things have been going better this stream because the latency has been really low. I don't know if it's just me, but I've been able to see people's questions. It feels like really fast. Because when I say something, I'm seeing reactions to it in chat pretty quickly compared to before. You can do a mace that when you use it, it swings 180, giving you a nice knockback. That's a cool idea. And I mean, like, the Great Axe is kind of like that already because it's a big swing and it's a big 180 attack in front of you. But someone mentioned a slam attack. I like the idea of a slam attack. That sounds cool. Alrighty. I want to start game deving, but I am horrible at pixel art. Well, I mean, I am too. I shouldn't say I'm horrible, but I started out horrible. Yeah, so the pack I started out with is one by ARM 1998 on Open Game Art. I think that's a good one to start with, totally. But the only way to get better at pixel art is to do pixel art all the time. So if your goal is to someday, eventually, be good at pixel art, maybe you should just make some bad pixel art. Because I got good at pixel art because I was making Game Maker games, and I would just make my own sprites with the built-in sprite editor. And the pixel art that I made was not very good, but every year that I was doing it, my pixel art got a little bit better every year. And it's the same with this game. The pixel art, the pixel art that I made for this game 1 year ago isn't as good as the pixel art that I can make for this game this year. Even 1 year can make a big difference. So it's the long game. Keep in mind that I'm almost 29 now. So if you're a young person, you have a long time to go. You have a long time to spend working on your pixel art skills to get better at it. Oh, sick, because I'm using GameMaker 2. Nice, yeah. Yeah, I love GameMaker just because it's all streamlined and built into the same place. You can do everything yourself. What did you enjoy the most about this game? Designing the art or coding it? Definitely coding it. I am a coder by heart. I was a software developer for years. I am very good at coding. It's what I do best. It's my favorite part of the game development process. Art, I do like a little bit more now, but it's still one of my weaker aspects. I do like art. I do like making everything look better over time, but it's tough for me to do art. I'm a lot better at coding, and I think in general, I think this is a common thing. People like doing what they're best at, right? Like if you're a really good artist, I think you're probably going to enjoy the process of making artwork more than the process of coding if you're not very good at coding. So since I'm good at coding, I like that aspect. Since I'm only kind of good at art, I don't like that aspect quite as much, but I'm getting better every year. What if you're 26, Boomer? Yeah, 26. You're 1 foot in the grave, basically. And if you do a boss of Sunflower, that is a bait check. Oh, like a little mimic. A mimic boss. I think that's a really cool idea. So like you're walking through a dungeon and you're in a cave and you finally see that checkpoint, you finally see the save point, you walk up to it, but you walk up and it turns out to be a big monster. I think that's a cool idea. What's your opinion on the education system? Which education system? Because there's like the college education system, which I think is fine. It's just very expensive, and it's expensive for a few reasons, but the quality of the education is good. The public school, like high school education, I think is also fine. In the US, I don't have any big complaints. The only complaints in general is just cost. It's very expensive to go to college in the US. My main advice is to find the cheapest options because a private school, like if a school costs $50K per year, but you could go to a state school for $10K, there's not going to be that much of a difference between your educations. Like the private school might be ever so slightly better, but you're not going to be able to get any better of a job just because you spent $50K instead of $10K. So go with an affordable option. All that matters is that you have a degree. Employers do not care at all where your degree came from. Maybe if you went to like Harvard, that would matter a little bit more than someone who went to a community college. But in general, like I went to a private school that no one's heard of, but that didn't matter. All that mattered was that my resume was good. So go with the most cost-effective option for college, because all that matters is that you get your degree and that your degree is a marketable degree. Because I've met a lot of people that got degrees in fields that were hard to get jobs in, or that just wasn't quite as marketable with just a bachelor's degree, and they had a bit of a hard time. I wouldn't want people to get stuck into the wrong field or get stuck in a degree that doesn't pay them any money. That's something I get worried about with people. And that's not the education's fault. That's not the education system's fault. That's just like, I don't really know who to blame for that. Do you know how I can think of any creative designs for characters or enemies? I mean, playing a lot of games and getting ideas from games is a good start. Combining different ideas together. So if it's like, I want to make a fish character, but maybe a fish character that's fire themed. And then now you have to design a fish that's fire themed. That's kind of original in and of itself. So, and also if you're doing pixel art, I get ideas by starting with a pixel art like image, like starting with some open source sprite or starting with one of my own sprites, and then just like moving things around and creating new shapes out of it to see if it looks new, or if I can create a new character out of it, or some shape that I think is unique. It's hard coming up with designs, and visual designs is something that I definitely struggle with. Conceptual designs, like coming up with new ideas, that's just a matter of thinking all the time and reading stories, playing games, and just absorbing new media so that you can find a bunch of unique concepts. Because as long as you're doing something that's new and fresh, that's the main thing. And it doesn't have to be super fresh. Like, my game isn't super fresh. It's a game about hitting enemies with a sword. It's not that unique, but I do think certain aspects of it are unique, and that's the goal from the start. Is the axe its own sprite? Yes, it's entirely a separate sprite from the player. Kyle, do you use a drawing tablet? For pixel art, no. For all other art, yes. So when I plan out my level designs, I use an iPad. Since I'm able to have multiple layers, and since with my game, all of the levels are partially on top of each other. So like I go underground, these maps here are meant to be underneath of these maps here. And having the iPad with the multiple layers, I can stack these levels on top of each other, and I can also rearrange them by like copy and pasting. It's been really helpful with level design. Not necessary at all, but it is something that I've done. Am I British? No, I'm not British. I'm American. Have I seen the new Dawnwalkers game produced by the old director of The Witcher 3? I did. I watched the trailer for it. It didn't... Did it show much gameplay? Because it looked really cinematic, but I don't remember seeing much gameplay from it. And I really only care about gameplay trailers. So is this game free? Well, you can download the demo for free. It's on Steam. But the final version, once it's finally done, it will probably cost $10 USD. That's the goal. No gameplay, or fake gameplay. Yeah, and that's kind of my problem, because you know what else had a no gameplay trailer is Concord. And that non-gameplay trailer looked fine, but you can never really tell what a game is all about until you see gameplay of it. Why don't your messages show up? I think they show up. I've been reading your messages, Oren. Did you watch the Xbox Developer Direct? Actually, no, I didn't watch that. I saw that they had it, but I didn't watch it. I should check it out. You can get this game on Steam for free. It's there's a demo on Steam. So check the description of the stream. There's a link to it. The last two didn't? Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I wonder why. Maybe they just didn't go through. Is the axe its own sprite? Yes, the axe is its own sprite. We've got about 5 more minutes left of the stream. And what should I do for the remaining bit? Let's just go over here. We're planning to release a mobile version. Yeah, I'm going to try. I haven't confirmed that that's something that I'm going to do, but I am going to try. Because I have ported games from Love2D to mobile before, successfully. So I think that I can do it with this game too. But mobile is a pain in the butt. Anyone that's ever worked with mobile before knows that there are a lot of challenges with it. And it's very possible with this game, I might just run into some kind of blocking thing that's going to block me completely. And if that happens, then no, I wouldn't be able to get it on mobile. But I think I can. I think I can. I'm just not committing to it yet. Yeah, be mindful to anyone downloading the Steam demo. It's outdated compared to what you're seeing on my screen by a few, actually not a few months, by like 7 months. It's pretty outdated, and I'm working on a new version. I want to get it out as soon as possible, but I've been saying that for a long time. I've been saying that I was getting this new demo version out for months and months and months, and it's still not here. Can you code with C#? Yeah, I can. I used C# when I worked at Microsoft. Releasing for mobile is hard. Yeah, it's pretty tough. How long have I been working on this? Started watching a year ago. I've been working on this game on and off for like 5 years, because if you count the Recreating Zelda game as the same game, which it kind of is, it's the same repo, then yeah, I've been working on it for 5 years, but it's been on and off work. I haven't been solely working on it nonstop. Hi, I love your game. Your bosses and a learning curve to them I really enjoy. What would you recommend for learning a programming code? It's just a matter of getting started with it. So there's plenty of free tutorials on YouTube and stuff. So I'm using. I have a 50-minute video on my YouTube channel that's free to watch. That's a YouTube or a Lua crash course, kind of getting you a feel for programming. So if you've never programmed before, I think that my Lua tutorial is a pretty decent starting point because you don't even have to download anything for it. It's all in your browser, so you can practice coding directly in your browser and you don't have to download anything. It's nice. Will there be a level up system? No, there will not. There is not going to be any XP and there's not going to be any level up system. Can you give me your Discord username? It's @Chalacade, but check the description of the stream for all the Discord information. No pressure on the new demo? Well, yeah, but like at the same time, I really want people to... I really want people to see the new stuff, because the new improvements are nice. I really think this version's a big improvement over the old one. I'm gonna play a CS. Awesome. Well, thanks for stopping in, Davey. Are there any constraints using Lua instead of C#? I don't think so. I don't think so. So Lua isn't a object-oriented language, so you could say that some of the inheritance features of C# are limited, and that's probably true. But it's not a big enough problem that I notice it. And also, there are libraries to fill in the gaps. So if the inheritance feature of if the inheritance features of C# were not negotiable, you needed to have them, then I bet there are libraries for Lua that specifically do what that is. I bet that Lua is flexible enough that any feature that you're missing from another language can be imported in using some library. Starlight, welcome in. I wish that I was able to stay longer, but I'm going to be ending stream in just a few minutes. Ending stream at 1 p.m. CT my time. Thoughts on Switch 2? I mean, I'm really excited about it. I know that the design of the Switch 2 isn't particularly ambitious or amazing or crazy, but that's what I like about it, is I love the Switch so much. It's just that the specs are so old and outdated that I have trouble playing games on it now. So the Switch 2 just being an updated version, I think it's going to be great. I'm very excited for it. I've done a little GML and I enjoy it, but I want to make a game in Unreal, actually. Cool, yeah. I think Unreal seems awesome. I think Unreal uses C++, but they also have the blueprints, so you can make games in Unreal without using any code as well. Oh, have a good day. Thanks, you too. Yeah, I'm going to be wrapping up in just a minute here. I've been referencing your open source Caverns game on to help me. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad. I love that Cavern game. It's a really simple game, but it has a lot of good fundamentals in place. Same with Legend of Lua. I think Legend of Lua has a lot of nice fundamentals. Do you think it's a good thing that every major studio wants to switch to Unreal? I wouldn't say it's a good thing, but Unreal does look nice. Like, I've played some Unreal games that look incredible, and I think in general Unreal games probably look better than most AAA games. So inherently I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think that every studio using the same engine probably isn't a good thing, just because that leads into like a monopoly, or that leads into too much standardization in the industry, and I think that can be problematic in the long term. But like the Halo series going to Unreal, I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, just because Unreal looks so nice. So if switching to Unreal means that the graphics are going to be better and nothing else is different, then I'd say it's a good thing. But if switching to Unreal means that everything's going to take longer, or the load times are going to be worse, or it's not optimized well, then that would be a bad thing. So that's sort of the way I feel about it. FF7 Rebirth uses Unreal, and that's AAA. Yeah, I love Rebirth. I love Rebirth a lot. It's on my shelf behind me, actually. And yeah, exactly. That game is optimized fine. But I wouldn't say it's fantastic, though, right? Because it caps out at 30 frames per second in 4K on the PS5. Like, I don't know, maybe it's my standards, but I feel like every game should at least be 60 frames per second. It is shocking that Rebirth comes out this year for current gen console, and it still can't hit 60 frames per second. It can in performance mode, but performance mode, like, it makes the graphics a little bit blurry. So I wouldn't say that Rebirth is the perfect example of a great optimized game. But it is an Unreal game, and it does look good, and it plays great. The load times are fine too. The optimization is good. I wouldn't say it's great though, because I wish it could get 60 FPS at 4K. 60 FPS for fancy 3D games is a min. I agree. I think it's shocking that games are still coming out capped at 30. And that's my thing with the Switch 2, is that I'm hoping that fewer games will be 30 FPS and more games will be at least 60, just because I can't even play 30 FPS games anymore. It's too hard for me. I wanted to play the Paper Mario remake, but it's capped at 30 FPS. I just can't do it. The original was 60 FPS. How is it that a GameCube game that comes out 20 years ago is 60 FPS, but then that same game gets remade for modern hardware and it cuts the frame rate in half? That's so weird. That is so weird. That's kind of what I mean. But that about wraps up the stream for today. I'm going to call it quits. I'm ready to go have a little snack. I'm getting hungry. But thank you all so much for being here. It was a great stream. We had a lot of folks here. We had over 100 people. That's awesome. Learning Left 2D right now. Do you remember every code you write? A lot of it. It's just a matter of doing it over and over and over again. You eventually pick up on like a lot of the details and where everything is. Like, even if I don't remember specifically what line of code something is, I'll remember that, like, oh, it's in this file called curtain, and I happen to know that it's in the update function, so I can go down to the update function and there it is. So even if I don't remember every line of code, I understand how my code is organized, that I know where everything's at, if that makes sense. Why do I use Left 2D? I just like it, that's all. But that ends stream for today. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to actually call it quits for now. And I will be back next week for yet another Moonshire Monday. Thank you all. I'll be back again. Bye.